What's up, everybody on Facebook? This is author and motivational speaker Tiny Garlington, and I wanted to come and kick off part 1 of dealing with trauma. So I'm going to give you guys time enough to come into the broadcast because this topic is important, especially for where I feel like we are all going, and this is necessary information. So I took some notes. So that I can stay on track, because I only have about 15 minutes to talk about this topic. So the reason why this topic is important is because for many of you all, you have goals and dreams and aspirations of doing something great, but you're finding yourself back in square root one. And the reason why I'm talking about this also is because it's some things that I discovered about myself, and I just feel like I'm not by myself. So anyway, what I want to talk about, this is dealing with trauma part 1. There will probably be 4 parts to this, because again, this is a necessary conversation. Because if you are planning on leveling up this year, that's what everybody been talking about, leveling up. So if you're thinking about leveling up, what you have to do is understand that you got to acknowledge and address the life's traumas, the things that you have gone through. And basically, trauma is something that is deeply distressing or a disturbing experience. Deeply distressing or a disturbing experience. So if you have, everybody has had, in my opinion, some form of trauma. We all have experienced some form of trauma. And basically, it's something that upsets you. The loss of something, a loved one, a childhood experience, an illness or injury, something that has taken you outside of your normal scope. That is what that's what's defined as a trauma. But what I want to do tonight is basically help you develop the power to deal with those traumas and have the ability to be able to maneuver this thing called life. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the things that we experience and we go through, they don't leave us. They're always with us. Like every single day you wake up, that thing is always in the back of your mind. You might not ever acknowledge it. You might not talk about it, but it's there. Hey, Ladisha. Hey, Karen. Welcome into the broadcast. It's there. But this morning when I was getting ready to go out today, I just started thinking about a lot of the things that we are dealing with. Hey, Chanel, that we are dealing with in life. And you know, you become a people watcher at some point. You start looking at people and you start wondering, why do they react to things this way, or why do they do things that way, or what's triggering them to blow up, or what's triggering them to cry, or what's triggering them to do XYZ. And a lot of the times it's because of the traumas. See, when people think of trauma, they think of like something, like they try to put it in these categories, but trauma is broad. The loss of someone, childhood molestation, illnesses, the loss of a loved one, anything could be considered a trauma. But we've got to learn how to reconnect with our power and our ability to remain consistent during the process. And these are some of the things that I have been pondering over. And the reason why I've been pondering over them is because I was talking to my mom the other day, and I was telling my mama a lot of the things that I went through growing up are starting to resurface. Like a lot of the thoughts and the things that I had suppressed and put back here, they're starting to resurface. And I was telling my mom, I was like, I don't like the way they make me feel. And I want to do something about it. Like, I don't want to step into another year feeling the same way, living the same way. And that's mental first. Like, it's my mindset first. It's my mind first. Like, I want to start with my mind first. Like, what are the things that are going on in my mind that's keeping me from being financially free? That's keeping me from maintaining relationships? That's keeping me from being consistent? That's causing me to procrastinate? That's causing me not to... I was born to flex. Diamonds on my neck. I like boarding jets. I like morning sex. So basically what I'm trying to do in this platform is connect with you all, those of you all who have faced some type of trauma, some type of life trauma. And I want us to learn how to deal with it. I want us to acknowledge it, because a lot of times what we do is we don't acknowledge our traumas. We don't acknowledge them because they hurt, because they're painful. But we're not realizing the more we suppress them, the more we act like they don't exist, the more we don't seek the necessary help, the stronger and stronger that urge to, you know how you just see somebody and they just pop and they just explode. It's because they're suppressing these traumas and they're not dealing with them. They're not seeking the necessary help. So I have my little book. So if you see me look down, know that I'm looking at my notes, because I want to make sure that we break down some walls. You know, while our president is building walls, we need to be breaking down some internal walls. Some internal walls, because that's what we do. When we deal with trauma, we build walls to protect ourselves, because we don't want to feel that type of pain anymore. But we're not realizing that this is life, and life can throw us some things that can turn us in a tizzy, and there we are again feeling that same pain, but it's a different trauma. And because we didn't deal with the first trauma, now we can't deal with the next trauma and the next trauma and the next trauma. And we're not equipped to handle the things of life. We're not equipped to focus on our energies in different ways so that we can continue to be productive. We can continue to be successful. And I'm going to tell you, this is all important because of your legacy. Like, I want to leave a legacy. I want to leave a legacy that goes from generation to generation to generation. But I can't do that if I don't deal with my life's traumas. I can't do that if I continue to build these walls to keep things out. And then I find myself stuck in these situations and not able to really move forward. And, you know, this is going to be a series. And the reason why I'm doing this series is because it's leading up to a collaborative book that, you know, someone encouraged me to rewrite my very first book, which was Don't Look Back, Look Forward. And it was just a bunch of questions that were swirling around in my head. So this time around, I asked all of my collaborators, what does it mean for you to move forward? And one of the things for me that I will be discussing is dealing with life's traumas, dealing with those, you know, those distressing and disturbing things that happened to me along this journey called life, along this path that I've taken, and discovering ways as to how to move beyond them, because they'll never leave us. They're always, because they're in our minds. They're things, they're memories that we have in our minds, and we have to figure out how to live with them and not let those things control us, because the loss of a loved one can keep you stagnant. It can hold you back, because that was a major part. The loss of your childhood experience through molestation, through rape, whatever, you know, whatever it was, whatever traumatic experience, divorce, your parents divorcing, splitting up. Like, there's a lot of different things that play into trauma. But the thing about it is, again, it's always there, but it's learning how to cope, but not get stuck, and not wake up one day and you're 45, 55, 65 years old, and you're sitting somewhere and now you're feeling like you're too old because you missed out. And a lot of times people miss out is because they're traumatized and they're stuck. And, you know, I try to be as transparent as I can. And a lot of my traumas have kept me stuck. And in these past couple of months, I've had the opportunity to reflect. And I'm like, why is it that I procrastinate? Why is it that I, you know, don't pursue certain things? Why is it that I'm afraid of going certain places or doing certain things? And now that I'm asking these questions, a lot of my past is resurfacing. And I'm like, oh, that's why. or oh, that's why, or oh, they said this, or oh, they did that. But instead of being a victim to those things, I'm using them to my advantage. I am taking the opportunity to acknowledge them and not build a wall around them and hold them back and suppress it and act like it never happened. I'm actually confronting those traumas and taking notes to say what happened, how did it happen, who caused it to happen, and how can I come face to face with it and really deal with it and move on. So I want to kind of go through tonight the symptoms of trauma. Like, I want to go through the symptoms, because a lot of times, you know, we wake up like this. This all stemmed from a conversation that I was having with this lady. We just was having a conversation, and she started talking about her anger, and she started talking about, you know, why certain things were happening to her and how she wanted to not be so angry and not be so reactive. And I was like, I don't know. It just triggered something within me. And I said, I meet a lot of people, I encounter a lot of people, and I'm a person myself, of course, and I want to know why I feel certain type of ways, or why I don't do certain things, or why I'm stuck in certain places. And so I said, you know what? I'll lay myself out there and use myself and my experiences to but to open the door for people to feel safe enough for them to understand that we all experience trauma. You are not alone. The same person that you see that's smiling and happy and joyous, and it looks like life is just so grand for them, they're going through some traumas. The person with all the money and cars and the house and this, they've dealt with some type of trauma. Now, some of them have learned how to cope with their traumas. Some of them hide behind all of this tangible stuff, and you're sitting there hoping and wishing that you had what they had. But guess what? When that door closed and those cameras are off and that light goes off and nobody's around, they're stuck with their traumas and they don't know how to move forward. And so that's not what we're going to do. We're going to, because we are ending, you know, we are moving from March into April. We're transitioning again to the 4th month of the year. And I know a lot of you guys had all these goals and hopes and things, and some of y'all, kudos to all of you all who are doing great. You're sticking to your goals, you're doing it. But for some of us, we're like, what do I do next? How do I go from here? How can I continue to be consistent? And I'm speaking personally, because I'm the type of person, I'm creative to the max. You put me in a room with a problem, I'm going to try to solve it. But I've been stuck in some places in my life, and it hasn't been good. I've lost some opportunities. I've lost some relationships. With people, I've lost money. I've lost a lot. But instead of beating myself up about it, I said, you know what? I'm going to take these things and I'm going to use them to help somebody else. Who is probably sitting back, getting ready to go down that same path that I went down, and say, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm not here to beat you up. I'm not here to judge you. But I'm here to guide you in a different way. I'm here to help you understand that even though the tears are falling, even though people have walked away, even though you don't quite understand where it's going to come from or how it's going to happen, you've got to pick up that pen anyway. You've got to sit at that computer anyway. You've got to get out of that bed anyway. You've got to speak up anyway. You've got to be joyous anyway. You've got to do it anyway, even when it's painful. Because you don't want to wake up one day and look back at your life and have all of these hopes and wishes and regrets and feelings that you don't have to have. Because you don't have to have them, because people like me and some other people have gone before you, and we have taken notes and we're saying, here's the game plan. This is what you need to do. So let's talk about the symptoms of trauma. So the first symptom is anger. If you're easily angered, see, if you're watching this series, now it's time to do the work. Now, the next time you find yourself getting angry about something, you need to note that anger. Like, what you need to take a pause in the middle of the anger and say, what's happening right now? Like, when you go to the doctor's going to ask you a series of questions. You go in and you say, you have a headache. What did you eat? Oh, my hand's itchy. What did you eat? Where did you go? Did you smell anything? You know, they're going to ask you some questions because they're trying to dig deep to find out why you have this particular symptom. And that is what you have to do with yourself when you are a traumatized person. If you are somebody that somebody say hello to you and you get angry, what is it about that person? Does that person look like somebody who traumatized you in your life? Or they smell like that person? Or what is it? Like, you've got to ask yourself these questions and you've got to acknowledge your anger. You can't just continue to walk around and be an angry person. Because if you say you want to be a leader, if you say you want to be successful, if you say you want, to be a millionaire, or you want to, go forth and lead people and teach people, how can you teach people angry? And some of y'all are silently angry. Like, you get in front of people and it's, hi, how are you doing? And you go home and you get in your car and you're like, argh. Or when people not around that that could go out and tell somebody else that you're angry, you're not showing that anger to them. But when you go out and you're dealing with other people, you're spewing that stuff on other people. And see, this is not to bash you. This is to put that mirror in front of your face and say, stop faking it. If you have anger issues, you need to figure out how to deal with them. Like, what triggers that anger? So that's the first symptom. The second symptom is sadness and despair. What's making you sad? What's making you sad? What happened in your life? What happened along down the road that causes you to be sad? I know for me, let me give you an example. Y'all, I got to get some lotion for my hand, okay? I gotta get some lotion. So, I know for me, I remember when I, was trying to get pregnant with, when I was told I couldn't have any more kids, okay? I used to see people with babies, or I used to go to baby showers, or somebody could be walking down the street with their stroller, and I would cry. It would make me sad, and it would make me upset, and I would get angry, and I would question things, and I was like, why me? And I had to learn, like, it's so funny because I was told all these things, and then I realized, like, one day I just let it go. One day I just was like, you know what? Let me be thankful for what I do have. Let me be thankful for the child that I do have. And let me not trip out about the fact that this is not happening for me right now. And it seemed like when I let that thing go, when I really truly just set it free, and I stopped crying every time I saw a pregnant person. I stopped crying every time I seen a baby. All of that stuff. When I stopped doing that, then it was like God was able to work. And that's when I ended up pregnant with my second child. And so it's just kind of like you have to find a way to acknowledge what is wrong with you. And then you got to find a way to say, you know what? I need to set myself free. Because this thing is hindering me and I can't grow. You cannot grow if you continue to hold on to anger and things that make you sad. You got to figure that stuff out and try to find out how to move beyond it. Like, you really got to figure that thing out, because otherwise it's going to continue to keep you stuck in a really bad place. And so anyway, the next symptom that I want to talk about is flashbacks. Some of y'all are having these flashbacks about what has happened to you all, and you got to figure out, hey, Bathsheba, hey, Camilla, hey, Ashanti, hey, Tanisha, welcome into the broadcast. I had stopped reading the comments. I had moved them, but I moved it back. Oh, well, thank you. I'm going to keep on talking good, because, listen, I'm telling y'all, there are some, it's mental freedom, financial freedom. All of this stuff is locked up waiting on us, but I just really, really feel like we've got to get past these traumas And it's, some people might look at it and be like, psh, but really and truly, it's a reality. It's a real thing. You got people who are brilliant, but they can't allow their brilliance to manifest itself because they are waking up. Like, people can't see our thoughts. Nobody can see your thoughts. Nobody can see what you are thinking. But when you've gone through trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma, after a while, that stuff starts to build up. And people, you might be functioning, you might be getting up, you might be laughing and joking, you might be smiling. But on the inside, you're kind of like, it's things that's eating away at you, and you just don't know how to deal with them. And I've gotten to a point to where I'm sick and tired of that. Like, I'm sick and tired of being in the midst of people. And although I'm present, my body is present, my mind is not present. And that's not healthy for me. It's not healthy for the people around me. It's not healthy for nobody, because it's like all of my potential is being wasted because I'm stuck inside of myself. And it's hard to explain to people, because when you try to express that, people look at you like you're crazy. They look at you like you're lazy. They look at you like you this, you that. But it's not really that. You're stuck in here. Like, there are some things that I experienced that nobody knows. But I've got to learn how to deal with it, because I understand that I have some great things to provide to this world, but I can't get to them because there's this wall. So the next thing is feeling of guilt. Like, somebody did something to you, or you take a loss, or something happens and you have this guilty feeling. You're always like, for me, again, experience, when my grandmother, who wasn't my blood grandmother, died, I felt guilty. I felt guilty because I got pregnant at 13 and all she wanted for me was the best. I felt guilty because I wasn't really living up to her standards. I felt guilty because I didn't get a chance to say my last goodbyes. Like, I felt guilty, and I would always walk around with this guilt and this hurt and this pain. And one day I called her daughter, and I was just crying. And I was like, I feel guilty. Like, I feel like I let her down. And I feel like I broke her heart. And she just told me, she said, no, she was proud of you. And I had to release that guilt because it wasn't for me. It wasn't healthy for me. And I had to take all of that guilt that I felt for our relationship. And I felt guilty about plenty of other things, but that's the first thing that comes to mind right now. But I had to take that guilt and I had to turn it into gratitude. I had to begin to think of, when my mind wanted to go to, like, I literally would see her picture and cry. I literally would sit and think about, certain things and would cry, but I wasn't crying because I was grateful. I was crying because I was guilty. And there's a difference. And so I had to learn how to cry for the grateful moments. Like, I had to learn how to cry for the fact that we used to sit and we used to eat sherbet all night long and watch Martin Lawrence and In Living Color, and we used to laugh. I had to be grateful for the fact that she wasn't my blood grandmother, but she took care of me, and she genuinely loved me, and she cared about me. But she just had some barriers. She just had some things that were standing in the way. And I had to learn how to turn my guilt into gratitude. So when one of the tools, if you walk away from this part 1 tonight, the one thing I want you to walk away with is turning guilt into gratitude. Like, when you find yourself being guilty about something, if you've forgiven yourself and you've asked for forgiveness, you moved on and you've done what you were supposed to do, even if the other person didn't receive it, you have to find a way to be grateful for the experience. You have to find a way to turn that guilt into gratitude. Even though we had a bump in the road, let me not allow that to be the top thing that comes to mind when I think about this situation. I have to think about all of the other great things that we experience and allow that to serve as the catalyst for me to be able to move forward, for me to be able to grow, for me to look at my mistakes and learn from them, for me to be able to say, you know what, I'm not going to beat myself up, because the world does a great job at beating you up. Trust me. Especially those who have a front row seat to your life. they do a great job of it. But you've got to learn how to block that out. And you've got to learn how, when that guilt starts to feed in, you counteract that guilt with gratefulness. You counteract it and you say, I'm so grateful for the happy times that we had. I'm so grateful for the memories that we made. I'm so grateful that everything that was supposed to happen happened. And you've got to keep that first and foremost. Another symptom is hopelessness and isolating yourself. I'm good at isolating myself. I will isolate myself in a heartbeat. I'll shut down in a heartbeat. I'll do other things to deflect and not deal with what's going on in a heartbeat. And I realize that that is not healthy for me. It's not healthy for my business. It's not healthy for my family. It's not healthy for anything. And I have to learn how to turn my hopelessness into happiness and my loneliness into laughter. So instead of isolating myself and saying, you know what, I messed up. Because what tends to happen is when we make mistakes, or we don't do what somebody else thinks we're supposed to do, or we don't act fast enough, we begin to pick up that guilty symptom. And we begin to isolate ourselves. And I did that. Like, I've isolated myself to the point to where, you know, people think that I'm not communicating. It's not that I'm not communicating. It's that I'm trying to reboot. Because all systems have shut down. And nothing is firing off. Nothing is moving because all of these traumas are mounting up. And I'm building more walls, and I'm building more walls, and I'm building more walls. And I don't know if you all remember this movie, but I really think if you've never seen this movie, you should go and watch The Women of Brewster's Place. That's like one of my all-time favorite movies. I love that movie. And that movie shows you all these traumas. Like, one lady had been raped so much to the point she ended up stabbing this man, and they had to end up breaking down these, you know, they had built this wall, and they ended up all working together. Like, you gotta watch that movie, The Women of Brewster's Place. That is a good movie. And it's so much deeper than entertainment. It's just about the pain and the traumas that people experience, and how they can cause you to build up this wall to keep you blocked out and keep you locked in and keep you from being the best that you can be. But my job, y'all, we're gonna walk through this journey together. Like, we walking through this thing together, because I'm not perfect. I have my ish, okay? I do. But I'm 37 now, and I'm looking at the fact that I have 4 grandchildren. And I'm looking at the fact that my 9-year-old is getting bigger. And I'm looking at the fact that I'm not getting younger. I got a lot of damn work to do. I have a lot of work to do. And I'm not going to stop until I can get to that moment to where, when I do move forward, I'm not looking back. I'm not looking back, and I'm not allowing anybody to cause me to look back and say, well, no, I'm happy and I'm content. And the first thing I did was, I went to the grocery store the other day and I bought me some flowers. I was drawn to these real cute fuchsia looking flowers, and I just bought them. Like, I never bought flowers for myself before. And if I have, it's been like years. But I mean, years on top of years, like double-digit years. Yeah, double-digit. Double-digit years. And I put them, I strategically placed them on the table. So as I'm walking out the door, I'm looking at these flowers, and I'm going to continue to buy myself flowers. Like, when those die out, I'm going to buy me some more and put them in there. Because as I'm walking, as I'm leaving my house, that flower represents me blooming and blossoming into this being like never before. Like, I am blossoming and growing, and it's growing pains. Like, I talked about growing pains the other day. It hurts like hell, y'all, to grow, but it's necessary. You're going to lose some people. People going to question you. They're going to look at you crazy, but you can't focus on them. You got to focus on you, because at the end of the day, when you take your last breath, that person can't go with you. This stuff that you have can't go with you. The only thing you can leave behind is your legacy. And that is why this series is so important, to talk about traumas, dealing with traumas, and knowing that you are not crazy. Like, if you go to a counselor, you're not crazy. Some people need to go talk to a counselor, because when you talk to people and you tell people your business, it's like they loading up a gun ready to shoot and fire as soon as you piss them off. And now you hurt, they're hurt, you're feeling some type of way, and now your relationship is broken because you've told some things that you probably should have been sitting on somebody's couch telling them. Because they going home, they ain't studying that mess. All they doing is giving you a little sheet of paper and telling you what to do about your trauma. And that's probably what, to save some of you all from being angry, from being sad, from being hopeless, from being unpredictable, you know, you up and down, you one day you this, one day you that, you ain't flatline, you just all over the place. And the reason why you all over the place, because you're trusting people who they got their own traumas. They can't help you with your trauma. So you stop putting your traumas on other people who are clearly demonstrating that they're not able to help you with your traumas. And until you get comfortable, don't give them a loaded gun. Like, don't stop giving people the bullets to fire and shoot at you. Like, there are places, anonymous places. Like, you ain't got to go shout on a mountaintop, I'm going to the counselor. You ain't got to do that. Like, get up one day and say, you know what? I'm going to use my benefits. Some of y'all got health benefits, mental benefits. I used to use my mental benefits. I'm sorry. I would go to faculty staff and sit on a little couch and talk to the people. I did. I used to do that. And it felt great. It felt amazing. And some of y'all need to do that. But most of y'all, you're giving people loaded guns. Like, you are literally giving people ammunition, fire to shoot at you. And now you and them sitting back and you like, Lord, why they shooting these shots at me? They're shooting them because you gave them the ammunition, when all you need to do is go talk to somebody else. Stop loading that gun. Stop loading the gun until you are secure and confident in yourself to where you can handle the pressure. Stop loading the gun. Go talk to somebody. Go get you some help. It's plenty of help out there, I'm telling y'all. So another thing is, we basically live in an out of control society, y'all. So in order for us, and I'm speaking to myself, in order for us to grow and become successful, and one of the things that I want to continue to tell you all, stop saying that it's too late. Every day that you are giving is a new, fresh start. I don't care what nobody say. If God allows you to open your eyes, you have a new day to start over. Like, keep that in the forefront of your mind. I don't care if all hell breaking loose around you. You have if he allowed you to open your eyes, he never, like, based on what the Bible tells us, okay? Because I know the God in me, okay? But what I'm saying is, the way I feel is that, one, we're not going to go through more than we can bear. Two, these people didn't create us. Three, we've got to learn how to take these blows, man, because they're going to come. He didn't promise it was going to be easy. No, that was not the promise. You're going to go through some growing pains. You're going to take some blows. You're going to hear some stuff you don't like. But you got to learn what to keep and what to discard of. Like, it's some things people say to me, I don't keep it. Like, it's not mine to keep. Like, I let that stuff go away from me, because that is not who God created and intended me to be. That's just their opinion. And I may have demonstrated some things that make them feel that way, but guess what? I've got to learn how to keep moving forward. I cannot continue to stay stuck. And this is a work in progress. It is a child by child. That's what my counselor told me. She said, Tiny, take it child by child. Stop trying to take it year by year or hour by hour. She said, take it child by child, second by second. Like, don't let people put pressure on you. No, everybody heals differently. But the thing about it is, when are you going to finally be healed? When are you going to finally set yourself free? When are you going to finally realize that there are resources, there are places out there for you? And, you know, to all my African American people, just because you go to counseling don't make you crazy. Just because you no longer want to sit and hold all that stuff in does not make you crazy. Just because you don't want to continue to allow your traumas to run your life, drive your car, wear your clothes, run your house. Like me, I don't want my traumas. I have traumas. I have things that I've seen. I have things that I've experienced and it's so funny because God allowed me to see something in this present that was a trauma for me. That was a trigger that triggered certain things in me. And I immediately, when I saw it, I said, God, I don't want this. I don't want that part of it. I don't want that. That ain't me. That's not who you created me to be. I was born into that, but that is not who I am. So, you guys, this has been part 1 of dealing with trauma. And I encourage you all to share this video because there are some people, you know, right now, they silently hope. They silently wish. They watch other people's lives. You know, social media allows you to put people's lives in the forefront. And they're watching them and they're admiring them. But they're stuck. They're sitting there and all they're doing is watching. All they're doing is hoping and wishing that it could just magically happen. But that's not the reality of this thing. The reality is you've got to put in the work. You've got to be willing to deal with the ugly, dark, nasty stuff. And you've got to be willing to change that guilt into gratitude. You've got to learn how to turn that hopelessness into happiness. You've got to learn how to turn that anger into acceptance. And learn how to accept that something happened to you that triggers you. And you've got to learn how to acknowledge, what is it that causes me to do this? Like for me, not having control causes me to get stuck. Not having validation causes me to get stuck. And now that I know this, that I'm aware of this, I've got to stop looking for people to validate me. I've got to stop allowing certain things to trigger me and cause me to isolate myself. So when I feel like I want to isolate myself, I've got to look at my life and I got to look at what I'm grateful for. I've got to look at the fact that God blessed me with a child after he said that I could, you know, after the doctor said I couldn't have no more kids. I have to look at the fact that I have a 22-year-old son that's still living and breathing. I have to look at the fact that God has blessed me with 4 beautiful grandbabies. I have to look at the fact that, you know, I have help when I need it. I have to look at the fact that God has given me a brilliant mind. I have to look at the fact that I'm 37 years old when I didn't even think I was going to make it to be 17. So I have to look at, we've got to learn how to look at the things that we can be grateful for instead of feeling guilty about things that we can't even change. Like one thing that my daddy has always told me is that we cannot unring a bell. We cannot unring a bell. Once you ring that bell, it's done. You can't go back and reverse it unless you're watching it in a movie. But in real life, you can't unring that bell. So what you've got to do is you've got to say to yourself, I know I'm in a pinch right now. I know I feel that anger bubbling up inside of me. But let me take a pause for the cause before I react to the situation and try to figure out what caused this symptom. What were the things that caused this so that the next time I'm presented with this, I don't react to it. And I don't allow it to traumatize me any further than I've already been traumatized. You've got to find a way to stop the trauma in your life. You know how Mary J. Blige has that song, No More Drama? Like, we live in a life, we gonna change that song to No More Trauma. We gonna figure out how to stop these traumas in life. And it's so many topics that we can talk about, from relationships to money to self-esteem to this to that. Like, some people won't even comb their hair because they so traumatized. And I'm one of them people. Like, it's been times I have worn ponytails because my trauma was acting up. My trauma was sitting in the forefront of my mind and I couldn't focus. There have been times that I'm telling y'all, this stuff is real. And people don't want to have these conversations, but these are necessary conversations that we need to have. Like, now is not the season to be cute and fluff and have these comfortable conversations. It's time to get it's time to get very uncomfortable. So I'm going to end this broadcast, you guys, with giving you a number, because one of the things that I want to do is I want to equip you. I want to make sure that you are equipped, that you are prepared for this journey ahead, because it's going to get rough before it gets easy. Like, you're going to start thinking about some things are going to start resurfacing. Your faith is going to be tested. A lot of stuff is going to transpire because you are doing the work. Anytime you decide to do the work, baby, get ready for the adversity. I'm telling you. It's a given. Like, stop trying to pray away adversity. Adversity is to make you stronger. Like, that was one of my problems too. I didn't want to, like, because let's go back to school real quick. Because all I heard when I was growing up was cussing, fussing, loudness. It traumatized me to the point to where when people yell at me, I shut down. I don't receive anything because it traumatized me. Even now as an adult, if you raise your voice at me, I just shrink. I shrink. And it's because that was all I heard from the time I can recall hearing. Loud stuff, yelling, fussing, cussing, fighting. Like, that was the norm. My dad and his women, my mama and her man, my aunts and everybody yelling and screaming. And I always said, I don't understand why you can't have a conversation without, like, for me, have a conversation. Because if you want me to understand, don't yell at me. But I've got to realize that is some people's way of communicating. And I can't allow it to affect me. So I've got to learn how to be understanding, because that may be how that person communicates, and they haven't gotten to the point yet where they know how to communicate without going past 10. And I've got to stop internalizing that stuff, because a lot of times what we do is we internalize stuff and it causes us to suppress ourselves. It causes us to get stuck, and it's adding on to the trauma. And that's the stuff that I want us to start acknowledging. That's the stuff that I want us to stop suppressing. That's the stuff that I want us to stop waking up every day with. Like, the minute you become aware of something, now you have to take responsibility. Now you have to be willing to say, you know what? I can't do this anymore. Like my mama says, when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, that's when you will change. And that's so true. So what we're doing right now is we're talking about what my mom and my aunts don't call the butt naked truth and not a dressed up lie. We're going to stop dressing this stuff up. It's time to strip it butt naked and deal with it. That's what we got to learn how to do. So I got to get ready to go. I think I done went over my time. Yep, it's 9:44. So I've gone over my time, you guys. I want you all to meet me back. And another thing that I'm doing, good vibes only, y'all. I want y'all to leave with this. This is what I'm leaving y'all with. Good vibes only. If it doesn't bring you good vibes, tell it goodbye. If it doesn't bring life to you, tell it goodbye. And what I want to also tell you is to stop beating yourself up. Because every single day that God gives you is a new day to have a fresh start. And as much as I have been going through some things, I am learning, I am growing, and my daily prayer is that every day that God gives me is a day that I can learn, I can grow, and I can show up. That I can learn, I can grow, and I can show up and be present. Because I'm tired of being absent. It's no fun being absent, y'all. I'm telling you, it's no fun being absent. Like when I turn 40, I want to be traveling the world. I want a fat bank account. I want some nice stuff by the time I turn 40. And I can't get it with this same cycle. It's time to break the cycle. And that is what I want you guys to hold me accountable to. So if you don't see me get on here, if you don't see me doing what I'm supposed to be doing, don't just let me waste away. Like, inbox me and say, girl, what's going on? Like, let's not do that to each other. And that's what we do. That's what we do. I was looking at and I'm getting ready to end. I was looking at the Sandra Bland documentary. And as that cop was pulling and tugging on her, the cars were just riding by. And that's what we do. That's what we do, y'all. We will see something going on, even if it was just to stop to to see what was going on and make sure the cop in the you ain't got to be all up in nobody's business, but what I'm saying is that is what we do. We have all of this good stuff that God has given us, and we just drive by. We just drive, we just scroll on by, and we just, hey on by, and we don't stop. There's somebody in your office or in your family or in your circle that's isolating themselves. They're showing signs of trauma, but you so busy being busy that you're not even acknowledging it, and you're just driving by. So you could just easily say, inbox them or text them and say, hey, I love you. I'm just checking on you. I noticed that you're not doing this, and I just want to make sure everything's okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. So tonight was part 1. I'm going to load this video on my YouTube channel because I am getting ready to start my YouTube channel. I got to get my YouTube channel started. So, for all of you all who are watching, I want you all to understand, know, trust, and believe that you have what it takes, and you're not alone, and it's okay. It's okay. And this too shall pass, but you got to do the work. See, we always say that this too shall pass, but there's work involved in order to get past this too, if that makes any sense. So you guys have a great night. Rest on the promise and not the problem. Like when you close, do this work before you close your eyes and go to bed at night. Take time to write down 5 things you're grateful for. And rest on those 5 things that you're grateful for. Like if you are traumatized, you're going through something, there's a number that you can call. And I'm going to put it in the comments and pin it. Matter of fact, let me do it now. The number that you can call, like if you feel like you need to talk to someone. And it's an anonymous line. Because some of y'all need to get this stuff out. You know what I'm saying? Stop telling people. Because some people won't understand. Like, you know what I'm saying? And in order for you to get past it, you probably just need to pick up to an anonymous person and spew that stuff out and go on about your business. Let me see. The number is, let me see. Your depression or anxiety. Hold on. Call 561-496. I'm giving y'all some resources. That's what it's all about. Time out for talking. Tell me what I can do. And this is the Center for, what is it called? The Center for Anxiety and Mood Disorder. Anxiety and mood disorders. Okay, so that is a resource. I'm trying to pin this post, y'all. Let me pin the post. So if I just pinned a post for you all, because let me tell you something. You're not by yourself when you feel like you look at a building sometimes. Ooh, I wonder how long it take to get down there, because all these problems, I wish they would go away. You're not by yourself. But don't act on that thought, because there's help. There's somebody out there that understands, and there's resources, okay? Because your life is valuable. You are precious. You are unique. You are everything God created you to be. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what you've been through. Know that you have value to add to society, but you've got to be willing to put in the work. So you guys, what's today? Tuesday. So I will be back on Thursday for part 2, because this is going to be a 2 weeks. Because another problem I used to put stuff on top. I'll be here tomorrow night and the night after and the night. I got to stop that foolishness. I got to do it when I can do it. Okay, so I will be back on Thursday night at 9 p.m. So set your notifications. Let somebody know. Call somebody and tell them you love them. And be blessed and rest on the promise and not the problems. And your homework for tonight is to write down 5 things that you are grateful for. And let that sit where it needs to sit, so when you wake up in the morning you can go and be great. Okay, and I will go back and look at your, that's right, Donna, we all need a fresh start, and every day you're given is a day to have a fresh start. Yep, faith without works is dead. I just want to speak from my heart, Camilla. You got this too. We all got this. So again, you guys have a great night. Be blessed. See y'all Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern right here on Facebook.